Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today. 8 months after an ad denouncing toxic masculinity was released by Gillette, we have the Gillette Corporation now changing its focus from social issues to local heroes. And one of the reasons why Gillette is changing its spotlight from social issues to local heroes is the fact that Gillette, over the last 8 months, wound up losing over $8 billion internationally as men all over the world were completely alienated by that 2 or 3 minute short film ad designed to protest toxic masculinity, which actually was a complete expression of contempt towards actual masculinity that wound up driving men away from the Gillette brand, because most of those men who were loyal Gillette customers decided to show the woke Gillette company that they could go broke if they went out of their way to attack the core customer base. And the whole Gillette toxic masculinity ad showed us a prime example of what happens when companies get woke. What happens is they wind up heading down the road to going broke. And Procter & Gamble, in the aftermath of losing over $8 billion in 2 quarters, has decided that they need to stop the bloodletting and try to repair the relationship with their core customer base of razor buyers and shave cream buyers, which is primarily a core customer base of men. And now they're trying to patch things up. However, many think that it's too little too late, because Gillette, in their efforts to shift the spotlight, have not really issued an apology regarding that extremely offensive ad, which alienated the entire core customer base of men out there and turned men away from the overall Gillette brand. Because most men were deeply offended by that ad, including myself, because that ad really was a complete middle finger at actual masculinity, presenting it as toxic masculinity, and really was so slanted and biased that it really was not giving us a balanced picture of men and manhood, and really did not even have any substantiation once you've done the research on actual toxic masculinity. Now, someone like myself who has done the research on toxic masculinity for my book, The Man Crisis, I know that toxic masculinity is one of the byproducts of feminism, and feminists were the ones who told everyone that boys could be raised in a household to become a man by a single mother. And most of the toxic males that many protest at, like those in the ad for Gillette, many of those actual toxic males came from single mother households, not from households with fathers in them, because homes with fathers in them, these are the homes that actually produce healthy masculine males who participate in healthy masculine behavior. But the feminist who Gary Coombe, the CEO of Gillette, hired to make that ad about toxic masculinity, she didn't really want to take a minute to do the research into toxic masculinity before she produced this ad. Instead, what she wanted to do was produce an ad based on her feelings and based on her opinions regarding toxic masculinity, instead of producing an ad based objectively on the information on toxic masculinity, like what I did when I was doing my research for the book The Man Crisis. And again, toxic masculinity does not come from homes with boys with fathers in them. No, toxic masculinity is a byproduct of feminism and is a byproduct of homes where boys grow up with single mothers. And it's usually boys who grow up with single mothers and beta male fathers who wind up becoming the toxic males that many, like those who support the Gillette ad, go out here and want to protest. It is usually those males who are the toxic males because these males have not been taught concepts like male life skills, male survival skills, or taught concepts like male authority and how to respect male authority, nor have they been taught the basics about social boundaries or social conduct. So it is those males who are the ones who participate in the egregious behaviors like sexual harassment, sexual assault, and participate in many of the behaviors that wind up degrading many of the women out there, because it is the healthy men who go out of their way to protect men and women. It is those men who are the local heroes that now Gillette is trying to shift the focus and the spotlight on, and it is those men who are the actual picture of masculinity and manhood out there, and that should have been the main focus of Gillette from the first place. They should have been focusing on promoting pictures of actual masculinity to show that actual masculinity is still out there, and the only way to combat toxic masculinity is to promote actual healthy masculinity. Now, over the last 8 months, your Gillette has gone out of its way to double down and triple down. One ad featuring an obese woman talking about body positivity, and another one with transgenders. And again, all of these ads have fallen flat as related to the customer bases. And in their attempt to show how woke they are, they have shown that they have alienated their customer base, and with them losing $8 billion, they are going on the way to going broke. And I believe your Gary Coombe may possibly be out as the Gillette CEO after taking such a bad loss, or the person who actually greenlit this horrible feminist ad may be on the way out, because it looks like this shift in spotlight is showing that many of these major corporations, there is a breaking point to this whole woke thing, because in business, businesses are there to make money, and they are there to pull profits. And if you are having a business, you don't want to wind up doing things to alienate your customers or cut your profits, because that's how you wind up going out of business. And that's why I say the whole get woke, go broke thing may come to an end sooner rather than later, because there's only so much losses a company can take before they realize they have to shift the gears and they have to go and find a way to get back to profitability. Because in the capitalist American economy, a business makes money on the customer buying the product, and in order for a business in a capitalist country to make money, they have to be able to survive in a competitive field. And what happened with Gillette is, once they alienated their customer base, all that did was lead to most of the men going to competitors to buy their products, and then Gillette wound up losing all of that money. And that's what happens in a free market economy. When you have a free market economy, what happens is, if you don't provide a product or service that the customer wants, a competitor will create that same product for the customer, and they will give that customer an opportunity to buy that product, and that means money is leaving your business and going to the competitor's business. And that's what really destroys the whole idea that these woke people and these SJWs have about trying to push identity politics in corporate business, because corporate business is based on capitalism. Corporate business is based on the free market, and in the free market, the customer is the ultimate person who has the final choice, and they can choose to not buy your product, or they can choose to buy your product. And the woke people, who are used to people just giving people their own agendas, they don't understand how basic economics works. And it looks like Gillette's board members and many of the stockholders let them know that this is how the economy works, and this is why your Gillette is shifting its focus and spotlight from these social issues over to local heroes, because they want to go back to their core customer base, which was primarily men. So this is why we're seeing this shift over at Gillette, and you have to wonder if it is too little too late, because your Gillette has so alienated the customer base that many have decided they will never buy Gillette products again, and many more are sitting there looking at Gillette and not wanting to go and buy them at all after the way they literally disrespected men overall. So this might be too little too late, but it's still too early to call. If Gillette just comes out and apologizes for that ad and then publicly fires that feminist who came up with that ad, they may possibly get some people off the sides of the fence who were alienated by this ad, and they might be able to salvage their reputation publicly, and they might be able to salvage their whole professional image if they go out of their way to admit that this ad was a failure, this ad was an insult to men, and that this ad was the wrong direction to go in, because there was no need for Gillette to go woke and participate in this whole social issues thing. We go to Gillette to get razors, and most companies I believe, are going to learn a hard lesson from Gillette's $8 billion loss, like Google, which is now suffering a $70 billion loss, and learning that they need to get out of the social justice business and get back to doing business as usual. If you'd like to learn about why men actually become toxic males, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats, and you can also pick it up on Smashwords, the iBookstore, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today.